guys, it's your girl Erin. I have been reading most of the day. Well earned because it's been snowing outside. I shoveled the walkway. I took care of the chores inside the house. So I just wanted to talk about all the books I've been reading recently. Now, as you know, I am a booktuber, so I've been reading as much as I can for as long as I can. And I have been reading The Dead and the Gone by Susan Beth Pfeffer, which is a young adult fiction, science fiction novel. It's about a young teenage boy named Alex Morales who survives the day the meteor crashed into the moon, knocking it closer to the Earth. And he does everything he can to protect his family, his parents, his brother, and his sisters. I have finished reading the first book in the series, which was Life as We Knew It. And I'm waiting on This World We Live In and The Shade of the Moon, which are the third and fourth books in the series. On Goodreads, this is rated a 3.8 of 5 stars, and I personally think it's a really great book. As you know, 10 years ago, I read the first book, Life as We Knew It, and I read it. When I was reading it then, I was thinking, wow, I really connect with the main character, Miranda. And 10 years later, as in now, I connect with the mother on some level, and I'm thinking to myself, Miranda is just, she whines so much, it's ridiculous. But I also read book 2, and I remember nothing of it, so reading The Dead and the Gone is just like all over again. It's the first time. It's so good. Oh my gosh, I totally recommend the series. Another book that I have been reading is Crank by Ellen Hopkins. This is a young adult fiction poetry novel, and I know it's weird because I don't read much poetry, but this book is the bomb. In the book, there's this girl, Christina, who goes from a gifted high schooler to a drug-addicted girl with so many problems. The book is loosely based off Ellen Hopkins' daughter, who was addicted to crystal meth at one time. Online, on Goodreads, the book is rated 4.2 of 5 stars, but I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars on my review. I absolutely love that book, and I can't wait to read the second and the third book and whatever else is out there by Ellen Hopkins, just because that book is so good. And then the final book that I've been reading recently is on my Kindle, and I don't have my Kindle available to show you the front cover of the book, but the book is Hatchet by Gary Paulson. It is a young adult fiction adventure novel, and it's a novel on survival about a boy named Brian whose parents get a divorce, and his father moves to a remote place in Canada. And when Brian goes to visit his father, the plane crashes, the pilot dies, and Brian must survive on his own until a rescue, if it ever comes. On Common Sense Media, the book is rated a 5 out of 5 stars, and this is also another book that I read in my childhood that I'm rereading now. And I remember a good deal of the book, but I don't remember other things like, what comes to my mind is the pheasant or the turkey or whatever it was, but that's one thing that I just remember, and then I remember the climactic point and the why Brian's parents got divorced in the first place, but I don't remember a lot of the other things, so I'm rereading it again, and it feels like the first time. And this book spoke to me as a kid because every summer and fall, my dad would take our family on a trip, and I've been camping since I was 6 years old, so this book was right up my alley. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna love it, and that's what I did. And I actually have a funny, true story that just goes to show my little recklessness, which I probably inherited from my father. When I was a kid, my dad would take me to Stoke State Forest in northern Jersey, and we would stay in a cabin, go to Sunrise Mountain, we would go to the Overlook, and it was always the best time ever in my childhood. And one time when we were driving to Sunrise Mountain, Buttermilk Falls, we just happened to see a branch in the road, and as we got closer, we realized the branch was moving. So my dad, being the reckless adventurer, grabs the camera, says to my mom, "Hey, Bernadette, that's a snake." My mom immediately rolls up the window, and that's one of those old cars where I had to crank the window to open and close. And so my dad grabs the camera, gets out of the car, and he's shouting, "It's an eastern back rattlesnake. Oh my God, it's an eastern back rattlesnake." So he closes the door, gets out, closes the door, and starts to take pictures of the snake that could easily kill him. And so me, being my father's daughter, I said, "I want to see this too." So I start getting out of the car, and my mom says, "Erin Leslie Agnes Rogoff, if you get out of this car, you are grounded until you are 18. And so I close the door and I say, "Mom, that isn't fair. I want to see the snake too." So I know to avoid eastern back rattlesnakes and black snakes and water moccasins and all those different types of snakes. And I do not know how to make rattlesnake chili, even though I'm intrigued by it. But that's just one adventure that I had while I was camping in the wild with my family. And then my dad got back in the car immediately afterwards. The snake went off the road, and so my dad's like, "Hey, Bernadette, Christopher, Erin, look at this!" And so he's flipping through the camera, showing us all the photos, and I'm like, "Wow, I wish I could have been that close, because that is so cool!" And then later that night, my dad goes into the garden and then finds the garden at our cabin, and then he's like, "Hey, Erin, here's a garter snake. Check it out." So I hold it, and my mom's like, "Okay, that's not a rattlesnake, so Erin's not in trouble." So anyway, that just came to mind when I was reading Hatchet because of all the encounters with the wild animals. And I've had so many experiences with them while camping, so that's always a huge part of my excitement. So all the other stories will follow in later videos. But anyway, I think I've talked your ear off enough for today. So like this video, subscribe to my BookTube channel, like and comment, and have a good day, everyone.